Time is the money of love. That is one of my all-time favorite quotes. It was written by a musician and author named Kinky Friedman, if you haven't heard of him. And the Kingster, as he's very affectionately known to us fans of his, he had something really, he was onto something really important in this quote. Because, the whether it's we're talking about love of another person, love of a pet, love of a hobby, love of a deity, love of ourselves, any love that we experience, right? The quality of that love, or I could say the extent to which that love is a resource, the extent to which it's healthy and wealthy, is the extent to which we are able to spend our time on that love or on the object of that love. Now, there's something really important to understand, though. Okay, that time that we're spending, whether it's again with someone, another person, our deity, a hobby, an animal, whatever it is, that love that time that we spend has to be spent in presence with that person or that thing or ourselves or whatever it is. In other words, if you see, the modern meme of the modern family where, the whole family's sitting around the dinner table together, but everybody's on their phone, right? That's not spending that time on the love. And so therefore that love becomes weak, it becomes thin, it becomes empty, becomes poor. And so this is what mindfulness and meditation, whether you want to call those two different things or the same thing, is what it's all about. It's about spending time with ourselves. Now, we talk a lot and on this channel and in the world, you hear a lot about self-love, right? And so the self is just as much an object of love as a spouse could be, or a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, or a husband, I'm sorry, a daughter, or a son, or a pet, or a deity. And so when we commit to doing mindfulness meditation, what we are committing to doing is to be spending that presence, that time in presence with ourselves. And that is where we cultivate this concept of love, because time is the money of love, whether it's the love of ourselves or somebody else. But now here's the thing about, the sort of deeper meaning here, the deeper benefit here is that when we're spending time with ourselves in the process of meditation, mindfulness, whatever we want to call it, attention training, whatever you want to call it, praying, when we're spending time with ourselves in that way or doing that thing called meditation, prayer, whatever we want to call it, what we're really doing is we're spending time, yes, with ourselves, and we're spending that money of love on ourselves. But what we're really connecting to in that time in which we are doing that thing, that prayer, that meditation, that mindfulness practice, whatever we want to call it, we're really spending that time with that part of us that is bigger than really what we think of when we think of ourself, perhaps. We could also say that it's bigger than our desires. It's bigger than our attachments. It's bigger than our fears. It's bigger than our aversions and our avoidances. Now, there's a lot of data out there and research that shows the benefit of connecting to something that is bigger than us. And this is, of course, when we do the practice of loving kindness, this is what we're doing. We're connecting, beyond ourselves. We're connecting to everyone, to the whole, every sentient being in the world, including ourselves. And so I encourage you to take some time and really, a lot of times, people think of meditation, it's like om or some kind of like silly thing. Like, I mean, it's not silly, but it's certainly a limited view of what we're talking about. And so I invite you to open up your idea of what it means to practice this thing called meditation, or this thing called mindfulness, or this thing called prayer. It can happen anytime, anywhere. And anything you're doing, you can always pause, and even just for a few seconds, come back inside and spend a little of your focused attention on that which is bigger than you. Now, again, for a lot of people, that means, talking to God in that moment, or Jesus, or whatever that manifestation for you as a deity is. And it could be anything. There's no right or wrong here. But if you're not into that sort of, spiritual, religious kind of thing, it's okay. Just again, think of it as spending that time, that love on yourself, or spending the time in order to enrich that love for yourself. Because just like we can't love another person unless we spend that time with them, we need to be able to understand them. We need to be able to connect to them. We need to be able to laugh with them, to cry with them. Well, the same thing is true for us. If we're busy all day just running around like, oh, I got to do my errands. I got to, talking to myself about how I don't like that person. I don't like this. I like that. I'm too late. I'm too early, blah, blah, blah. That's not spending time with ourselves. That's like staying up on the surface. Time is the money of love indicates that there's a deeper place in which we can spend that time. Or in that time that we're spending, we can connect to that deeper place. Again, whether that's the deeper place of another person, the deeper place of our cat or our dog, the deeper place of our deity, or the deeper place of ourselves. And I promise you, if you do this just for a couple of minutes every day, your entire life is going to be impacted by it. What's going to happen, I can't tell you. Not that I'm keeping a secret from you. There's no way to know until you do it. And this brings up the aspect of curiosity, which is also very important in any love. Because when we're curious, we want to understand. We want to, we seek that understanding rather than seeking that labeling, or that characterization, or the categorization, or the judgment, or the editorializing. It's the opposite. To understand something is the opposite of judging something. And so when we spend this time every day, we cultivate that curiosity. We cultivate that draw towards that love for ourselves. And then that connects to the love for all beings. It starts just with a few minutes. Like 1,000-mile journey starts with one step. So don't think of it as doing an hour a day or 20 minutes a day. Think of it as spending the time with yourself on your car ride home from work. Start there and let it grow. And if you need help, hit me up.